Dane Mellows. Thanks for coming on my podcast, the Vantage Point Podcast. First of all, how are you?
Anytime, man. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm really good. I'm in a good mood today. Yeah. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for asking. First of all, how's things at Hull Uni?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, I was just saying then obviously that I'm still physically in Hull. I graduated from a history degree last summer, but I now work for the marketing department at the uni. So yeah, it's nice to still be around for a fourth year. A few of my friends are still here, my girlfriend's still here, so it's nice to still be around everyone. Yeah, it's just like after being here for 3 years, it's the environment that I know now. I think this year will be my last year here. I think I'm done with Hull now,
Oh,
but
it's going to be tough.
I think I've rinsed it for everything. It's worth at this point, but yeah, no, all things good here, man.
Why history out of curiosity?
I just had a passion for it. It's a bit of a weird story that links back to year nine, I think, or whatever year you pick your options for GCSEs. My
Yeah,
school
year
wanted
nine,
us
yeah.
to do that. My school wanted us to do that at EBAC, so you had to pick a language and humanities. And I was set on doing food tech, and I was like, "Mum, I'm going to be a chef. Listen, this is the career for me. I'm going to be a chef, and that's that." And she was like, "You got to get this EBAC, so switch out food tech for history." And she was like, "If you're that passionate about being a chef, then you can do it on the side." Which clearly I wasn't because I never did it again. But so I did history then. We did a module on progression of racial equality in the 20th century. Absolutely fell in love with it. So that's what I ended up doing my dissertation on. And yeah, so I did it through school, college, and now 3 years at uni.
Wow, wow. So, would you ever go back to being a chef then, or is that now your passion?
No, that's the chef life is probably taking its course back in year nine. But I do enjoy cooking still and enjoy trying new things just as a career. I wouldn't be a chef, no.
No, fair enough. I meant to ask because obviously would you have been in uni during lockdown then?
Yeah, so how it works, I had my first term as in September till Christmas, where it was our first normal. I had tonsillitis rapidly, but it was no COVID. And then I got back in January 2020. So then that's when everything started kicking off with COVID. So then it was the rest of my first year was spent at home, lockdowns. Second year was I could come back to Hull, but there was like that rule of six sort of stuff. There was all the different tier systems, and then it was only towards the end of that, then you could go into beer gardens of pubs, which was a phenomenal time at uni. And then it was third year, everything was still a bit COVID-y. You started to wear masks here and there, but nightclubs were back open, and that's when you could properly go out with everything again.
Yeah, how did that affect things like socially at uni?
Socially, massively. It was just a bit of a weird time to be a uni student. I know a lot of people were saying like it's the wrong time to go into uni and sort of stuff. Because obviously everyone sees it as that social aspect, which is a massive part of uni. I'm not going to deny it, but yeah, I don't know. The thing that I always take away from it as a positive is DJing because I wouldn't have become a DJ if it wasn't for COVID
Right.
because because I did radio at uni and the usual like the regular Asylum DJ, which is the campus nightclub, had long COVID, so he was out for like 3 months, and they needed someone to fill in as they was doing like all the six people tables in the nightclub, sort of stuff. There's someone to play music, so they just asked us, "Do we want to come on? Not DJ, just play music." Like what I mean by not DJing is like not mixing or anything like that. So we was like, okay, yeah, we'll go for that, but we'll get a very cheap set of DJ decks and just teach ourselves while we're up there, which is what we did. So then come beer gardens when it was a lot more lively. It was summer, the heat, this like sun was out, everyone was back in the pubs. That was a really good lively atmosphere because everyone was just bouncing between tables. You shouldn't have been, but everyone just was.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember there was a big buzz when lockdown lifted, or
yeah,
was at the end at least. Everyone just dying to get out, and beer gardens and that were absolutely booming. And it was great because you
massively. Yeah.
you would be meeting people, all these people who'd been cooped up inside, and they were finally allowed back out again. It's good atmosphere.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially for people in the first year at uni, because that would have been the end of my second year. But people in the first year, that's probably like their first like, opportunity to go out and actually socialize in like a again, I say you're not supposed to be bouncing between tables, but everyone was, but it was like the first chance to do that. But then come my third year, because we'd done all that through COVID and through indoor table nightclubs and then beer gardens, we then had a few nights where we could DJ the full nightclub with everyone back in, which was well worth all of that. So going through like losing like the social side of uni gave me like a massive leap forward in DJing. Well, it got me into DJing, which I never would have done if not.
Yeah, fair enough. Like, I think I bet for a lot of people, it created opportunities like that you might not have had otherwise. I know it was the same for me as well. I probably wouldn't have ever got into podcasting if it wasn't for like the long break from work life and everything. For me,
Yeah.
I meant to ask with the DJing. I've seen you posting about that.
Mm-hmm.
How much does it cost to get all the kit that you need to DJ for a new DJ? Like, surely that must be mad expensive, right? What do you need?
No, it's not. It's
No?
not too bad. So like I say, the first decks that we got when we was first asked to go and do it, me and my mate had the decks actually. He got them like very cheap, like 50 quid, but it was like these very, very small, basic beginner DJ decks. I think they were the DDJ 200s, if you're wondering. And then the step up from them was the 400s, which were then like 250 quid or something like that. But that's to this day still the only bit of kit I own. And then every time I go and do something, if it's for the uni club, then they have all like the speakers, all the sound system, all the lights and everything set up there. And if I do it somewhere else, then we'll rent it from somewhere and then like make the profit back from the pay from the gig. But yeah, so it's literally just the £250 decks. That's all I have. And then actually you need it's £10 a month for the software to get all the music to practice with and to use
What
it there as
software do
well.
you use?
We used to be able to use Spotify, which is ideal because
Right.
so the software for DJing is
Yeah.
Rekordbox.
Right.
But then you need the second party software to then get the songs and everything, which we use Tidal for because we're not allowed to use Spotify anymore with Rekordbox.
So how much I'm pretty alien to this. How much actual like mixing goes into it? Because back in the day you'd have like vinyls and there'd be a lot of like
Yeah.
hand scratching the thing. Like I've seen on modern DJ decks, they have like the ability to do that with a sort of virtual it's kind of like a handle, like a disc thing that's not an actual what do you call it, vinyl.
The
Like
vinyl
how
one.
much skill still goes into DJing?
Yeah. It's a good question actually. So the skill sort of comes in a different aspect of it now because with all the spinning the discs back and everything, you can still do that, but there's now also buttons that do that for you. So
Yeah.
there's like in a different way. Mixing though is still sort of the same way where you need to be in time with it. See, the thing is, I know how I do it. I don't have a clue how anyone else does it because this is all self-taught for me. So the way I do it is I practice everything in advance. Make sure I can get all the mixes in my head, and you can put little like notes in the Rekordbox app on your laptop. And then it's just then going into the club and doing it and hoping for the best in there. And there has been some times where I think I've got it, and then I was like, oh, this isn't actually synced up properly, or like this is too high, or this is too low. And then I can hear it. I don't know if everyone in there is normally drunk when I'm DJing, so I don't know if everyone else can hear it. But for me, it's like, I've practiced so hard back at mine to do this perfectly in the club, and then it messes it up in the moment.
When you say you practice, do you have little concerts in like your living room then?
Well, I practice in front of myself. Yeah, I don't host little parties. The thing is, a lot of people I think do that. If they have like a house party or something, they'll use that as like a bit of a practice for the club.
Yeah, why not?
But whenever I go, yeah, exactly. You may as well. It's a good chance to do it. And it's like the same people that you'd see in there. But yeah, when I go to a house party, I'd much rather just like enjoy the house party and stuff as well. I know with like family parties as well. My cousins and stuff have been like, oh, do you want to do a bit of a set for us? And I've been like, no.
It feels like work then, yeah.
Yeah, well, it kind of, not in the way that I'd be like, I won't enjoy it. I will enjoy it, but I'm coming to a party to see my friends or my family or something, not to like, it's when I'm DJing, I'm enjoying myself, I'm locked in, I'm focused on the sets and the mixes and stuff like that because I want it to go as well as I possibly can make it. But yeah, so that's why I don't really do it at house parties or like family parties or anything like that, but the atmosphere that you have in the club, like, I've never felt anything like it. It's unmatched. Especially the first time, I was so gassed from it. I started jumping up and down. I got on the mic and was like, "This is the best thing I've ever done." Yeah, it was mental.
That sounds class. Yeah, because as an outsider, you think, God, what are they doing now? Are they just pressing a button to change the tracks? Like, no,
Yeah,
I bet there's a lot more goes into it. Like, maybe finding tracks that bounce off each other or that seamlessly can be integrated with each other. Because I bet you can't mix a lot of tracks. You can't have some tracks after others. I imagine you're looking at BPM.
yeah,
Like,
that's
how
what it is.
hard would it be to say transition from a house track to a drum and bass track? Is that even possible, or how would you even
Yeah,
do that?
you could definitely do it. It all depends on like the part of the song that you're trying to mix. Because what I find is the best way to mix between different genres is looping a bit of the song. So if you have like a four beats that go off, if you loop two of them that like sound naturally, that they still flow naturally together, then you can bring in another beat in another song that's just a quiet beat, and then slowly transition that through. It genuinely it's a good song to mix if there's a beat on its own at the start. If it comes in with vocals straight away, then I found it hard to like fade that in and out and stuff. But yeah, there's different songs that work with different songs, obviously. But
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah, this might sound like a stupid question, but can you not like dial it down? So say you were going to mix into say a faster song, could you not
yeah,
slow down the faster song first and then slowly speed it up? Or would that just sound really
yeah.
weird?
No. That's
Oh,
exactly what
that's
you
the
do.
thing, yeah. That's the thing. Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
pretty much exactly what you do. But if you have a song that's 160 BPM and you're trying to get it down to 115, that song is going to be slowed down so much that it then becomes like goes from da 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 da, da, and you
Yeah.
don't want that in a nightclub.
Yeah, to the point where it probably barely sounds like a song, right?
Yeah, it loses its entire rhythm for it. So you can like dial it up and down with the BPM, but it has to be. I usually do it at max 15 BPM is the movement, unless it's like on a beat drop or I'm like speeding it up to like increase it or anything like that. But yeah, for some songs it works. For a lot of songs, you better stick into like a 15 BPM range.
Um, you mentioned before that you got sort of inspired to DJ because you were on the uni radio, right? Is
Yeah.
that also where you're inspired to start your podcast?
Yeah, definitely. So I joined Jam Radio as the student radio station at Hull without doing radio before. I'd always listened to it and I'd always wanted to get involved, but I'd never done it. And I thought, well, this is the perfect chance to do it. It was a bit of an abandoned station when we got there, so we kind of rebranded it, restarted it, and everything, which was really fun to do in our first year, literally knowing pretty much nothing. And then yeah, going through it, I ended up being station manager and president of the society in my third year. So I was then helping people get started with radio shows and podcasts, which was really fun. And also in my third year, me and my two mates who I lived with started our own podcast called Uncalled For. I always wanted to like go in and do more and more, but it was hard to always find the time for the three of us. But I also did the radio show on the side as well. And then since finishing uni and finishing up with Jam Radio, I did my last show. Must have been in May or June last year. And I was just like, well, I want to keep having this like creative outlet with radio shows and podcasts. So I was like, well, if I'm finished with student radio now, I'll just go completely independent and we'll just start this one by myself, because it is something as well that I'd love to get into in the future as like a full-time job, doing anything to do with radio really. So this also just gives a bit of a platform for any employers to be like, okay, well, he says he's into radio and podcasts. This podcast backs it up because he's consistently doing this, and it also shows like interview skills and just personality on air and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's the main motivation behind it. Also, on top of, I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most important thing. Do something you enjoy.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess I'm trying to do the same thing in a way, make something I enjoy into something I can potentially earn from in future. But the number one thing is I enjoy it. So even now, I'm not earning anything from it. Obviously, I've not even started it. I've not even started posting it actually yet. At the time
It's
me
not
and
even
you are recording
uploaded
now.
yet.
So, but yeah, the important thing is that it's something I enjoy. So I know from that point of view, I'm likely to keep it going.
Yeah,
Who would you
yeah,
say
definitely.
inspires you in the podcast world? Who do you listen to?
So who I listen to depends on what I'm doing. The one that I listen to the most is Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO. And his podcast has probably had the most inspiration on my podcast, especially with how he ends them. I've completely ripped him off. Like how have you ever listened to Diary of a CEO?
Yeah, I know he does the actual diary bit at the end, right?
Yeah, yeah. So what he does is he asks his guest to ask the next guest a question.
Mm.
So that's just something that I've thrown into mine as well. The only thing we do different is he leaves the question, like you don't hear it until the next episode. On mine, we just talk about it and we just say, what's the question that you're going to ask for the next guest? We have a bit of a chat about it as well, so they kind of answer their own question, and then the next guest also answers that question, and then they answer their own question as well for the next guest. It just goes on like that.
Yeah, that's good USP, as my friend tells me. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I quite like a happy hour. Do you ever listen to them?
yeah. Jack mates.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
think for the UK, just comedy class.
it is. Yeah,
Love them.
yeah, yeah. I do like some of the YouTube podcasts. There's What's Good as well, but it
Yeah,
mainly
yeah,
just depends on who they have on. If they've got someone interested on that I like, then I'll jump on it. The Fellas as well is a good one. Carl Freezy and Chip. But yeah. So yeah, all theirs are ones that I'd listen to like quite frequently, as well as Diary of a CEO. Diary of a CEO is more of the one where I'll listen to it in the gym. It's like
yeah.
that's one I'll have on just to
Motivational.
have. Yeah, yeah, because I used to listen to just music in the gym, which I did it so much, and I just listen to music now so much because of radio and everything. Uh, it's not really specific to the gym, so I like having Diary of a CEO. I only listen to that when I'm in the gym, so it kind of puts me in that mindset with it, and it's quite like a motivational, inspirational podcast as it is. So helps with being in the gym as well.
Yeah, I've got Joe Rogan, David Goggins podcast waiting to be listened to for
Yeah,
for my next workout.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I listen to him when I go for walks and stuff. I just find it just totally takes my mind off it. Running, takes my mind
yeah.
off the pain. Um,
It makes things go quicker as well in
yeah,
terms of walking and running, because that's what I've always struggled with running. It's just being there for like 20, 30 minutes. I just get bored of it. But having a podcast on, it takes my mind off of it, and it just helps pass the time with it.
yeah. You mentioned you listen to some of the YouTube podcasts. Did you watch a lot of YouTube growing up then?
Um, in terms of like the sidemen and stuff, because I feel like that's what most people would go to. I didn't really, but I think that's because they did a lot of gaming videos, if I'm right.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and I wasn't the biggest gamer growing up. I played a few games, played like the Modern Warfares and the Call of Duties, but yeah, I wasn't massive on it, and I'm still not now. But yeah, so I feel like that's where they kind of got their audience from. I like the sort of stuff they're doing now, but yeah, originally growing up, I didn't. I watched a lot of Joe Weller growing up, like going
yeah.
through
Same,
school.
same.
Me and my mates watched a lot of
Legitimate.
him. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, other than him, that was pretty much it, really. Um, yeah, I just quite liked his style of videos. Obviously, it's completely different to the ones that I do, which is weird. But I just thought they were always funny, always something different as well.
Yeah, I always found Joe Weller to be probably the realist. He was the first person as well well, one of the first people I saw anyway, making a big deal of mental health publicly
Yeah,
because
yeah,
at the time he was talking about like his depression and things like that. No one else was really talking about it, and I did think it was quite sort of admirable back then,
yeah,
of him putting it out there because it was back then it was a bit like, that's a bit weird, you know.
yeah. It wasn't anywhere near as talked about as it was now.
Mm.
Yeah. It's fair. I've always admired him for standing up for stuff like that. Did you see about that stuff? What he did after the KSI fight
No, what do you
when
do?
he was like, "Scrap me in a car park."
Oh yeah, yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't have
look,
a clue what went on with that.
stuff like that. I don't know. It's a shame because I think he's one of the best, like most talented YouTubers, UK YouTubers. He definitely
Mm,
inspired me like a lot. I'm not gonna hide that. Um, but I think when he got beaten by KSI in the boxing match, um, it really, because he already had struggles with his sort of self confidence. I think that
yeah,
really knocked him down. Like so much. He probably would have been otherwise like the next sort of Logan Paul or someone in terms of popularity, I think. But I think that kind of stopped his journey uh, for a while, really put the brakes on what he was doing, which I think is a real shame because he was a young guy when that happened, really young, like what, 22 or something?
That's what I mean. Yeah, I mean, I'm 22 this year, and
Right.
I couldn't imagine boxing KSI in front of like
What was that?
however many
Dane Mellows
thousand
calls
people.
out KSI to a boxing match. Is that what I just
Yeah,
heard?
easy. Get me on the next card. Get me on
Yeah.
the next. No, no way. My one of my mates has just done a boxing match, like a local one, like the same, like a white collar one. It was like the same as their original fight, KSI and Joella. Obviously, nowhere near the amount of numbers, nowhere near the amount of streams, but it was like one of them charity boxing matches, which I didn't even realize how frequent they were and how easy to get involved they were. Just all like the local ones, which is quite cool. But yeah, I don't think I could see myself doing it.
Yeah. I think you'd be good. You're quite tall, aren't you? You'd have the reach.
Yeah. I would have the reach. Whether I'd have the time to, because you have to dedicate like 6 months to it, don't you? Non-stop. There's everything else goes out the window, which I think is just a long time. Which I've got other stuff I like to do.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
get that. Yeah, it's amazing how much that's what I admire about these guys from you know a CEO point of view. Like these guys, they're entrepreneurs. Some of these people, and they look down upon a bit for being YouTubers. But I think some of these guys, like KSI, Joe Weller, Logan Paul, all these guys right at the top, like the amount of stuff they're doing, for how young they are, I think that's quite inspiring, to be honest.
yeah. Not to throw his name in to be inspiring as well, but in terms of boxing, Jake Paul's absolutely smashing it. And it's not to comment on his character, or he is like a bit of a notorious guy, isn't he? But yeah, in terms of boxing, he's absolutely crushing it.
What do you think of the whole debate over does influencer boxing take away from traditional boxing? Do you think it's like a, a bad thing? What do you reckon? Do you have any
I don't
thoughts on
think
that?
so. Yeah. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think they're taking anything away from the guys that are actually have been training their whole lives for it. Because it is still labeled as YouTube boxing. It's not boxing. But it's also getting younger eyes into the sport.
Yeah.
Like the people watching mainstream boxing now. Oh well, I could argue that now YouTube boxing is mainstream boxing, but
Oh,
uh,
you can't say that. Oh, you get people
no,
mad
but
at you.
there's an argument for it though. There's an argument for it, definitely. But yeah, so there's now, because of YouTube boxing, there are a lot more eyes on mainstream boxing, which there wouldn't have been without all this stuff.
Yeah, that's a fact. I
Yeah,
think, yeah, getting kids into sport, I think, is always a good thing, no matter
yeah,
how they get into it. Yeah, I think overall, just because of that, it's a good thing. Now, I wanted
yeah.
to ask you, as someone who's done podcasting, as someone who's done YouTube, how do you think? What do you think? How do you think? Sorry, podcasting translates to other platforms. Do you think that's the way people are going to make media going forward? Do you think it beats other things like TikTok and YouTube? How do you think it sits?
I think there's a place for everything really. Because I don't just watch podcasts or listen to podcasts and then that's it, full stop. Yeah, I'll also watch YouTube videos, and I'll also watch TikToks, an unhealthy amount of TikToks. But yeah, I do think a lot of people now do enjoy the long form entertainment, which is one of the main things that I ran with when I was station manager in my third year. I was like, okay, we've got a set amount of radio shows now. Let's push as much as we can on podcasts. Let's get as many people involved as we could. And we got a fair few good ones going, which I think are still going now. But it was mainly because, that's what people are wanting to do now. It's more of a case of when you wake up in the morning, I stick a podcast on. A lot of people stick a podcast on as like they're getting ready, they're brushing the teeth and stuff, or especially when I'm making my tea. If I'm on my own, then I stick a podcast on because it's something that
Yeah, same.
you can just have on. Yeah, it's just something you can have on in the background. And I do think I said this on the podcast that I uploaded on Tuesday. I don't know when this is going to come out, but literally yesterday.
Yeah, it'll
That
be quite a long time after yesterday.
well, about 2 years ago, I uploaded this podcast, and I was talking about how, because I uploaded it just onto Spotify because I've started to do these weekly audio exclusive ones, and I was like, well, YouTube is now the main platform for podcasts in a weird way, even though it's a video platform and podcasts are primarily like an audio form of content. YouTube is the place to go for it, because I know when I'm listening to a podcast, when I'm like making my food, like I was saying, I'll also have the video of it on the side, so I'll glance over every now and then. Or, sometimes it's nice to see like facial expressions and actions during it, so I will start watching it for a bit and then I'll just go back to it. But it's nice that I can just have it in my ear, and I'm also not missing out on much. And I know you can now upload videos to Spotify as well, but I do think that YouTube is still like the primary base for it at the moment. I think it's taken over.
Yeah, especially now they're doing shorts as well. It's funny to me that in an age where TikTok and like these 15-second to 60-second videos are so popular, that podcasting of all things is the other thing that seems to be taken off at the same time. Do you find that crazy?
Yeah, it's a weird two different like forms of content going in two different directions, of both going up at the same time. But I do think the thing with my podcast is the same bit of content that I'm putting out on YouTube, on Spotify, and on TikTok. The only difference is the style of it. So Spotify's just audio, YouTube's got the video as well. TikTok shorts and reels are like 15 seconds. It's like very cut down, but it's the same bit of content. It's like one podcast that I've recorded, just then repurposing it into loads of other things, which is also what I do. Doing what I do now, I'm working for the marketing team. I'm a content specialist, and that's helped massively, because it's then taught me like the importance of getting it on all these different platforms and how to repurpose it really, really quick, get captions on your videos, and like little things that help get the numbers up a bit more. And it's, if you do it on like one occasion, it's not going to work. Do you know what I mean? But you have to consistently do that, and then just hope that it gets somewhere.
Yeah. Which do you think podcasts perform best on then? Like, do you think they perform best in the 15-second clips, in the shorter YouTube videos, or in the audio only? Like, which do you see more success in, having done it for a while now?
I'd say my immediate answer was YouTube, just because for that I see lower numbers on YouTube than TikTok, and shorts and reels. They're like, some videos I put on there are like into the thousands, but I don't think any of my podcasts have gone past 500 views. But I see that as more successful because people are staying for a lot longer. So even if they stay for like 3/4 of the podcast, then it's a lot better than watching a quick 60-second video and going straight past it and not thinking about it again.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, because obviously I'm figuring this out at the moment. I'm like, how much effort am I gonna spend on uploading to TikTok and Reels and that? How much time am I gonna dedicate to cutting my 30-minute episode down into these little minute-long 15-second videos,
Yeah.
But it's probably worth it.
The best way that I've found to do it is I upload the main podcast onto YouTube and then cut it up into 5 different sections. And within those 5 different sections, I'll make as many shorts as I can out of. But it's only then, rather than fiddling through the entire hour-long podcast or however long it is, and trying to find shorts out of that, I go through my 2-3 minute clips and then get the shorts from them instead. Because in my mind, I've already picked out the top 5 moments. So then the shorts should naturally come from them anyway.
Yeah, that's smart. I like that. I might have to steal that.
Yeah, go for it.
In the grand scheme of things, what's your goal with podcasting? What do you hope to get out of it when you're 100 episodes in? What do you hope to have achieved? For you, not numbers wise, just internally. What do you hope to have achieved from that or learned from it?
Oh well, they're two different answers then. Achieve from it and learn from it.
Go for
learn
it.
from it.
Give me both.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Learn from it. I definitely say learn how to become a better presenter, a better podcast and radio host. But also at the same time, better at social media. And getting them out there, just like we've been saying. Then, like getting them into those short snippet bits. Definitely that from learning from it. To achieve from it, if it's not to learn anything, then I'd say to take a big step forward in terms of radio, in terms of like a long-term career, to get my name a bit out there, to secure some sort of job in radio would be amazing. In terms of guests, I'd love for the guests just to keep going up and up and up. I didn't realize how it's not easy to get like the guests that I've had on, but how not difficult it has been to get them on. You know, considering like on like my 10th or 11th episode, I had someone that was just in one division, and I was like, that's.
Wow. Oh, I saw that one. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
cool. I was like, no way,
like,
how did he do that?
That's what I mean. I sent her a message on Instagram, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm game." I was like, "Oh,"
Fair enough.
I was like, "It's that easy?" Okay. And then you know some other people you have to go through agents and stuff like that, but it's well worth to have them on. So yeah, just the guests keep going up and up and up.
I'll tell you my sort of end goal for podcast, and I wonder how much you sort of agree with me on this. 'Cause I feel like you might have a similar perspective to me. So I spend a lot of time. So for my work, I train in the gym, and a lot of my spare time, I train in the gym, and that's to sort of better myself in from all angles, like mentally, physically. But I feel like another thing we don't really aim to do a lot is explore our creativity and sort of broaden our mind, you know, aside from maybe through reading and things like that, which again a lot of people don't do at all. And I feel like for me, podcasting and sort of getting in touch with people and learning from people who have totally different backgrounds to me is a way of training my brain the same way as I would train my muscles, and hopefully other people can sort of gain from that as well in listening to them. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Definitely.
That makes sense, or am I rambling?
No. I completely agree. Because like I say, I have started the podcast to get like the interview skills up and like showcase them, but it is that case of speaking to different people from different aspects of life, especially the questions that they're asking each other from the end of the shows. I know one of them, I can't remember what the question was, but I had a comedian on called Jack McLean, and the question that he got asked was something to do with like a motivation in life, or like how do you stay positive, right? And his answer was, in improv they have a thing called yes and, like, so you can never say no to a situation. So he was like, take up any opportunity you possibly can, you know. So his example was like coming on the podcast. I asked him to. He was like, okay, I'll do it, you know, if he's free. And I just think even just like little bits like that you can take away from these little chats. And I'll take away something from every chat I have, including this one. And then hopefully like people who listen can take maybe the same thing, maybe something different away from it. But it's just that purpose of, you know, you can take away those like little positive messages from it. And just, I don't know, especially with ones like Diary of a CEO, you know, they're made to be motivational, inspirational. So them more so, but you know, everything that you listen to in terms of podcasts is that sort of vibe at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think that's a great note to end on. We don't have much time for these. I try and keep them short and sweet, 30 minutes episodes. And it's been great having you on, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much, bro. Cheers.
Appreciate your time.